quite funny hearing his voice. You can hear when he's at high G, because we lost him for a little bit. He went quite high pitched.
In the motorhome
so we can see some shots of that now, actually.
Oh, you got shots of it. Okay.
There's the three there.
So I'm a complete loss to explain this little meeting.
They weren't going off, Ted, like you and I did to get their COVID test, were they?
No, Lance definitely turned up at the Mercedes motorhome with his mobile in his hand, saying, Toto, you know, where's Toto? I've either got.
I detect a note of jealousy in your voice there, that you quite like to be out there driving this yourself.
Oh, totally. I would, yeah. Those two right-handers, pretty impressive. He had a little bit of understeer in the cars through the next S's, so lost a bit of time there, but he was on fire through the quick right-handers.
George Russell describing turns 6 and 7 as the best corners on this track. Casanova and Savelli just dropping downhill before the added.
Do that. So there's going to be a hell of a lot of time management going on, which I know at the beginning it sounds a bit boring maybe, but I think it's the time.
Are we going to get something akin to a traditional race in Shanghai, for instance? Two-stop race where the last kind of 5 or 6 laps before your pit stops or before the end, that's when the drama always happens, because some drivers have got life in their time.
Two.
Spicy 1 and 2. Oh, Charles Leclerc.
Gentle one, though.
And by that stage of the lap, your tyres are getting very, very warm.
Okay, single cool down is not enough. Tyres are too hot.
Okay, double cool down.
Like I said before, you can't do that in the race, so it's really interesting that even just after 1 lap or halfway through the lap, they're suffering with such heat builds like this when it comes to the race. Then you need to dial a bit more understeer into the car, and you don't want a car that's going to start overheating the rear tyres.
But in the race, I would say the front wear is going to be the bigger issue than the rear. If you lean on that front tyre too much, we will have a bit of a Silverstone issue.
In terms of the wear, perhaps, but the thermal build, yeah, I mean, the two very different things. So, I mean, and that, I think, in a nutshell, is what is going to make this track so hard.
See, it feels like it's got a bit of negative camber at the exit, and you go, oh, he's definitely not going fast.
No, I think that Red Bull was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah. I don't think I can make it back. Sorry about that. Understood.
Yeah, Carlos Sainz had a near moment there on the exit of Poggio Secco.
He wouldn't have found himself out there, because, you know, for him that was the edge of the circuit he was aiming for, which is the gravel.
Oh, you know, you have to learn the hard way when you're used to.
And our producer, Mr. Hertz, said, "Which corner are you going to go to, Martin, to go on your track?"
There's some smoke that came out. Is the brakes okay, or in the straight line?
We'll get back to you as soon as we can, Esteban. No problems seen at the moment.
Yeah, I saw that. It was just before the final corner, just in a straight line. I wondered if it was just a blemish on the camera.
Final corner
Vettel,
as well,
I think.
No, it's not. It's through that last chicane.
And as soon as you lose that support, that stability, and the car does snap, silly when they. You think, oh, why did he just spin there? Why is it so easily done?
Why do you think part of the setup is, you know, trying to make a slightly understeery car, because they are so snappy and uncontrollable? They have to put a bit of understeer into the car.
I was just going to say that Max Verstappen was getting some really useful experience as to what it's like to follow a car very closely around Mugello, and the Red Bull engineers were getting some pretty useful data.
So we'll see what happens there. And Carlos Sainz, meantime, just lighting his tyres up to do a practice start at the end of the pit lane. That's him, you can hear in the background. Just
into a corner and through a corner as well. Aerodynamically, like I said before, these cars, it dominates the grip.
Pound tyre, Max Verstappen for 4 laps, 22.
You know, I mean, he didn't probably know at the time that they didn't have the tyres in the blankets and getting them up to temperature, but he'd almost be better off just throwing the tyres, still taking them, even if they had no temperature in them, just surviving for those couple of laps at the beginning.
I think the issue is that they have to put the pressures up. Then, so the pressures will be even higher in the race with those tyres, because they're cold going on the car.
But the way the softs were going on, I mean, you were just
on the start and finish line, standing start, is there would have been so much rubber on grid 2, on all the, you know, grid 2, grid 4, grid 6, on the in
Q2, and then people can start on whatever they want to start on. Get rid of the softs if you want to get rid of the softs.
If at the start of the race you got a higher chance, or the highest chance usually of a safety car period, when you can come in.
What would you take out of this session then? That
Is it no good anymore?
the tyres maybe not as robust as Max Verstappen would like.
I don't know who. I mean, will the DRS be powerful enough to overtake down into
We've seen
turn
it.
one?
Your Pierre Gasly, who might qualify just inside the top, the top 10, or might just be, say, 11th, like Danny Creo has been the last 2 races. A Sebastian Vettel or a Charles Leclerc, if they're not looking to get into Q3, can they run a hard compound tyre and hold people up?
Yeah, that's not going to help the race, though, I think, because the Mercedes...
Valtteri Bottas for 8 laps did a 1:22.6 on the medium. Is Seb in trouble?
Okay, the engine stopped.
Well, he can freewheel that down the hill.
The ride height on that car, it looks really...
Bottas was averaging over 8 laps. Leclerc over 4 laps. Lewis Hamilton on the hard, by the way, a 1:22.8, but that was only over 4 laps.
Yeah, their degradation has been the biggest issue in the races lately. I mean, their speed hasn't been there on lap 1, but yeah, they fall away pretty quickly, which is yeah, it's a shame to see.
It's the double whammy to a certain extent. So, with a bit of head scratching and some problem solving to come up with at the end of this session, which for Valtteri Bottas produced his first FP2.